Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. I think this is like number 6 or whatever. Welcome back. So there's been a lot of stuff going on in my life recently. A lot of researching different opportunities when it comes to just different projects. I don't want to bring them into the podcast right now, but what I did want to talk about was, in amongst this research, I'm researching microphones, right? Because I know that you're tired of seeing only me in this podcast. I'm tired of seeing only me in this podcast. So there's a few things that I'm doing. This microphone is cool. I mean, it's brilliant. Like, obviously you can hear the sound if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, or when I actually edit everything and put it together in a video. If you were just watching this through Facebook Live, then it's a different story, but I'm pretty sure you can hear anyway. But this microphone, the Shure SM7B, is a really, really high quality microphone, and it's always advertised that Michael Jackson recorded the Thriller album on this mic. So microphone check, 1 2 1 2. The Thriller night. So this is a really good microphone, but I don't necessarily know if I want to have another one of these microphones. I'm thinking about getting a clip-on microphone, one clip-on microphone, and then another clip-on microphone for any other people that I have on as guests. Because this way I don't have to be like right here up in this mic speaking in front of it. I could be like back here. I could be over here to the side, over here to the side, over here, over here. So the point is, you could be anywhere you could be mobile. With this one, you have to be directly in front of it. So that's what I'm researching. And if you guys have any suggestions, hit me up about these microphones, because I need to know. I want to know, like, what is a good quality microphone. I know that they have to have like a little some type of device as well that goes on to it. I'm not sure what they're called. It's slipping my mind right now. Yeah, but you have to have that as well if you want to improve the quality of the sound. Also, an update as to where this podcast is going. I want to go on iTunes very, very soon. I know that two friends of mine, shout out to Jonathan Iger and Be Kind Rewind, and Dave Manley for the Fight Camp radio show. They're on iTunes, so if you guys have any recommendations, please hit me up, because I want to get on iTunes. I want to get on SoundCloud, because a lot of what I like to do is video, but having the audio, there's people that just like to listen to the audio on iTunes or SoundCloud or whatever. So I want to be able to reach out to them as well. Also continuing to write down names for potential guests to have on, people who are interesting, with interesting life experiences, with interesting life stories, so that, they could come across, because again, there's only so much that I can say that's going to relate to you, as opposed to having on a guest that may be able to relate better. So that's what I want to do. Also, just practicing my conversations is a big one. Practicing on my listening, and practicing on asking good questions so that I can become a good conversationalist is very, very important in order to have a good conversation. And that's what podcasts generally are when you're having guests on, is a good conversation. How to ask the right questions, how to lead the interview, so to speak, or how to lead the conversation, so to speak. And that's important as well. But in the presence of Coachella, this is something that I wanted to speak on, because I've been to Coachella a couple times now. Shout out to my boy Alfred for getting me to go. And the stories that I have at Coachella are pretty awesome. They're pretty epic. I'm a big fan of going to music festivals. been to EDC several times, been to different electronic music festivals, been to Coachella a couple times, went camping, and it's just a really amazing experience. Like if you ever go to Coachella, I would recommend it at least once. Let me say something about the bad side first of Coachella, especially if you're camping. The first time that I was at Coachella camping in a tent, I got woken up by the wind, because when you're in Coachella Valley, the wind is so strong that it just blows everywhere. And I was sleeping at about like 1 o'clock at night, and I was sleeping, and then all of a sudden I just hear I was like, whoa. I like looked outside of my tent, and I was like looking around. I'm trying to find something, but there was nothing there. It was just the wind knocking the tent around. So it's very windy, it's very dusty, it's very hot. And then the porta potties are egregious. You have to go like early in the morning when they clean them out, or late in the afternoon when they clean them out. So that's when you want to get them, as far as the time that I was clocking. But aside from that, it's a fantastic experience. I enjoy it very, very much. The artists are really, really dope. Generally, me and my boys, we'd go out from our campsite, which is located maybe like a mile or two from the actual music venues, so we'd roll out about like 4 or 5 o'clock, because that's when the heat would start to dim a little bit, start getting a little bit cooler. So all day you're kind of just chilling. If you're in the car camping, and then you're drinking, you're listening to music, you're meeting people, you're eating, you're doing all kinds of activities. I mean, it's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, the stories there are just completely epic. So Thursday night is kind of when it all starts, when it all hits off. And then I'm looking at my Facebook live video, and it's kind of going crazy right now. There's only 2 or 3 motherfuckers watching this right now, I know for sure, but somebody keeps on hitting the likes and the hearts. I love it. It's good shit. But the experience of Coachella is just fantastic. If you haven't been, I highly recommend going. The artists are really wonderful, and then also like the art, the venues, the Do Lab is really cool. It got, man, these different color spirals, all like fake colored trees, and just cool art, and it's a really amazing experience. So you get to hear good music, depending on the lineup, right? There's different people, different Coachellas, different artists at the venues, but for the most part, I mean, it's lit. # lit. But my friend Christian, shout out to my friend Christian Dominguez for being a paramedic at Coachella when I was there with my friend Alfred, and it was cool seeing him, because he's like, oh, I'm gonna be a paramedic. So he stopped by, he checked on us, he wore his stethoscope or whatever it is, checked our hearts, checked the beats, checked our lungs to hear if anything was going on, because you're inhaling so much dust. Literally have a bandana on, like one of those bandanas. And Alfred called me a douche for wearing one of those, because he thinks that I was trying to be too cool, but it was just something that you need to wear when you're at Coachella, because there's so much dust, it just blocks all of that from getting into you. But Christian told me that this one guy was partying so hard, and I don't know if he was drunk or if he was on something, but he hopped over a little gate. And the little gate's kind of with the spikes, like, you know how the little gates are, with the little spikes all across. And he tore his nutsack open. He tore his nutsack open. Oh my God. So they rushed him to like the paramedic tent, and he ended up coming back on the last day to party. So, shout out to that guy. That guy's a crazy motherfucker. Crazy. But yeah, I want to keep this short as always, quick 10-minute podcast, but that's the kind of update on Coachella. I mean, update on my podcast and where I'm trying to go with it, and then update on, not update, but just some stories at Coachella. And then lastly, I wanted to give a shout out to my friend Dave Manley for creating this business of MMA fighters, creating bobbleheads of them. So I believe, and I shared his information, I believe it's MMAbobblehead.com. And it's cool because he's working with really famous athletes. He already has Dan Henderson out, like a legend, a MMA legend from back in like Pride. Crazy. And still going. He's like 40 something years old, 45, 46, some crazy age, and he's still rocking it. He has, I think, a few other people coming out. I've seen him like Chuck Liddell potentially. I've seen a picture of him with Brian Ortega, which is a relatively new MMA fighter, but nickname T-City, Triangle City, has sick jiu-jitsu, and he was the first man to ever knock out Frankie Edgar with a sick uppercut. Boom, knocked him out, man. It was gross. But anyways, if you like his stuff, and I shared it on my Facebook at least, check his website out, support his business, because it's really, really cool bobbleheads, and it's super creative. They're really cool with signature poses like Dan Henderson and the H-bomb. Sick. Shout out to Dave for that. But there was a UFC event, Fight Night, Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. If you didn't see that, man, you're missing out. That was a great fight. Dustin Poirier, I thought Justin Gaethje was gonna win, in my personal opinion. You guys know I'm a huge UFC fan, huge MMA fan, but more at UFC just because it's the premier organization for MMA. But shout out to Dustin Poirier, got the finish over Justin Gaethje, who's an absolute tank zombie, just comes forward with pressure and breaks your will. He's sick. Justin Gaethje is a young dude and he's still coming up. So shout out to both of those guys, but shout out to Dustin Poirier for that. And that's about all I wanted to say. I hope you're having a good day, and I hope this message finds you well. Peace.